When you spoke with did you ask for a representative to be present?
I did.
You did?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Were you denied?
I was denied. I actually set up chairs in her office, and I guess we were under the impression that someone would be there to represent us. And when I saw I said, can or someone stay in? And she said, no, we want you one-on-one.
Okay.
And you asked for who?
I asked Ms. if Ms. stay in, our assistant principal.
Okay. Have you worked with for several years?
Yes, sir. We actually used to work in first grade together.
Okay.
She was 2 doors down from me. Actually, in first grade, I can just recall her having a lot of problems with her blood pressure. And I remember walking to her classroom and her eyes rolling in the back of her head. And I was like, what's going on? Went and told the nurse, hey, something's wrong with her. And then the nurse came in to check on her.
Okay. Were there, and you mentioned the medical problems, but were there problems with her dealing with other people?
With other teachers, but not with me. Okay. Not in first grade.
Okay. Are any of those other teachers in third grade with you now?
No, sir.
Okay.
Do you know who were they? Who were the others?
I know she's had an issue with.
When you mentioned problems, what kind of problems were there?
I think it was just disagreements, or I know at one point her and Miss actually really good friends, I would even say best friends, because I knew that they did a lot together in first grade. And then one day they were not on speaking terms at all. So I'm not exactly sure what occurred, but it went from best friends hanging out doing things all the time to they're not even social.
Okay. Did she physically threaten those teachers, or were there physical altercations? Or
in first grade, not to my knowledge.
Have you ever personally felt threatened that she's going to do violence to you? Or?
Actually, this was a few years ago, and I can remember an incident in the lunchroom. And usually the teachers will sit in a certain area, and then all the kids are in an area. And so as we're walking in, this class was at the first table along with another class. Well, where I was sitting, I could see that her kids were throwing food and bottles or whatever in the lunchroom. So I said, those kids, calm down. Well, she actually caught me on the sidewalk after that incident and was like, well, you're just trying to get me in trouble with the administrators because you got onto my kids in the lunchroom. I said, well, we're all supposed to work together. If you see my kids doing something, I would appreciate if you got onto them. So at her door, I said, listen, I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble. We're all adults. But if I see a child doing something that they're not supposed to, as an educator, I'm just going to correct that child. And she was like, well, you're just trying to get me in trouble, and they're probably going to call me in the office. And I was like, what? To my knowledge, it should be, hey, she's trying to help me out. I appreciate her, willing to help me. And she didn't take it that way. And so from that day, her voice got louder. She started yelling at me, and I said, okay, listen, I'm not doing this. I said, but I'm going to pray for you. And I walked off because...
And when was this? Was it this year?
This was a few years ago. This was probably about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay. I just wonder how recent.
So that's when, at that moment, I felt like her getting loud with me, I just had to turn it off because I had to tend to my own students.
Right. You had to go about your business. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And is that the only time?
That was the only time. Actually, this year.
Against you personally,
Okay. I know she's said little things here and there. I know one time she told me that she didn't trust me, and I was like, well, I don't know why you don't trust me because, we're all working together, and the thing is we're supposed to help each other. And if I feel like you don't trust me, I'm going to question it. Why don't you trust me? And she didn't want to speak anymore on that.
Okay.
So.
Do you feel like that we can repair this situation, or what we need to do to repair this situation, or can it be repaired?
I don't feel like it can be repaired. there's just so much, like, putting in time to do the documentation, hours away from our family. We've, collectively, when we had to meet with Rhonda Lassiter and Denise Cohen, that was probably 7+ hours, time away, teaching time away from our kids. It's just so much.
And that's the reason why I'm trying to keep this short. I see that you have some notes here.
Yes.
Is there anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I can basically read even before I read this, I want to say, walking into that meeting with Miss Lassiter and Dr. Cohen, it felt like an interrogation. Miss Lassiter was sitting across from me, and Dr. Cohen was sitting to the right of me, and everything that, like, she would, Miss Lassiter would ask me a question. She would ask me a question, but before I can even finish answering it, she was already telling me, well, Miss said this yesterday. So to me, it felt like an interrogation, because if you're here to get information of what happened, you're not really taking you're not really receiving what I'm telling you without cutting me off and then telling me, well, this is what I was told yesterday. It's almost like, well, this is what she said, so what you're saying isn't really, aren't really facts. So it felt like an interrogation. But on Friday, September the 6th, 2019, during the interview with Miss Denise Cohen and Rhonda Lassiter, many different topics were discussed. I began by telling both of them that rarely fulfills her assigned recess and lunch duties as required by all teachers. Recess duty procedures: recess begins at 10 o'clock. Therefore, all teachers on recess duty are required to monitor students in the hallway and then quietly escort 165 or more third graders to the playground in a safe manner. Recess duty requires teachers to supervise students on the playground until they safely enter the mini gym for PE and are under the supervision of the coaches. Ms. Minifield is nowhere to be found during the escort of 165 plus third graders to the playground. And that's the thing. We try to have a certain system. So we know before recess, we all need to be in the hallway. We have to escort them, and then from there, take them to the PE gym.
Is this regular?
Yes, ma'am. So it's like we have a rotation.
Now, is this year?
Yes, sir.
How about last year?
Last year, she did her duties, but she wasn't always where she was supposed to be.
Okay, I had a thing. You said not during their lunch duty as well. Do y'all have a set schedule for that?
Yes, ma'am. So basically, our grade chair is Miss, and so we have like a rotation. So it's recess duty, lunch duty, and then we alternate.
So everybody's aware of, everybody's aware of the schedule and where, it's...
Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes. It's actually a printout, and we have first 9 weeks, second 9 weeks, third 9 weeks, fourth 9 weeks.
Okay.
And Ms. actually given that to us, I want to say right before school got started, because we had a grade level meeting, and in that meeting, she gave each of us a copy of our schedule, whether we had recess, whether we had lunch, and then it says Group A and Group B. Yes, ma'am. As the recess duty rotation team is comprised of 3 teachers, one of which stays back for recess detention.
When teachers, do all teachers go to the lunchroom?
No, sir. So basically, because it's a team of 7, it's either a 4 team or a 3 team.
Okay.
So then some of us will go to recess, and then the ones that go to recess won't have lunch duty.
Okay. And so they get to stay in the room or do whatever during lunch?
Yeah, it's like you just have lunch in your room.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Free lunch is a nice thing for teachers.
It
Yes,
sure is.
yes.
I never had it, but that's nice.
Yes, and because we are so big, we try to, we try to work smarter, not harder, So if we can get a break and we can work it out to where it works for everyone in that schedule, then yeah, we do it that way.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. As the duty rotation team is comprised of 3 teachers, one of which stays in for recess detention. This leaves 2 teachers to supervise the other third graders. If one of the teachers is consistently late or doesn't show up to recess duty, it not only creates a hardship on one teacher present, but it also creates student safety concerns because, like I said, it's over 165 kids. When recess is over, we are to line up the students and supervise them as they enter the mini gym. As the students are lining up, Ms. is already back in her classroom. And basically what I'm saying is, if you have recess duty, it's our job to make sure all of those kids are in that mini gym before we physically walk back to our rooms. But she's already in her classroom. Ms. Lassiter thought it was odd that wouldn't show up for her duties and left before the kids were all in the gym. I told her, even though she thinks it's odd, that it's the truth. And so when I told her it's the truth, she said, so you're telling me that she just goes to her room? I said, yes, ma'am. She just goes to her room. Next, we discussed the incident that happened Wednesday, September the 4th, 2019 in the lunchroom. I started by telling them that Miss and I saw Miss as we were leaving the mini gym heading to lunch. Also, I included that has yet to come to the mini gym to pick up the kids with. As we are leaving the gym, we are reminding the students that there will be no talking for the first 10 minutes of lunch. That just calms the lunchroom because it can get, a little rowdy. As we arrive into the lunchroom, and I are walking around monitoring students. Miss had not yet made it in the lunchroom on that day for her duty. As Miss are walking around monitoring students, Miss pops her head in the door and then leaves. She's gone, not sure how long before she returns. I told Miss Lassiter and Miss Cohen that I set a timer on my phone for 10 minutes so that I can make the announcement when the time is up for the students, then they can whisper. Miss Lassiter asked me if I was texting. I told her no. I explained I was using my phone to set the timer. Again, Miss Lassiter said, were you texting? I told her no. I told Miss Lassiter that Miss holding the phone underneath the table. Miss Lassiter then asked me, did I see phone? And I told her yes. She told me she thought it was odd that she was on her phone. I just told her what I saw with my own eyes. Back to the lunchroom incident, so we had to go back to that. So on Wednesday, September the 4th, I had moved maybe about 3 students to the silent table. I know over to tell a few students talking to move to the silent table. Then Miss again and went to tell 2 other students to move. Miss walking back to her seat. As comes back, she notices that the students that she had told to move didn't move. They were still sitting. Miss then tells she told the students they didn't have to move because she had already given them permission to talk. Miss Lassiter then says Phil told her yesterday that the time was 11:25. I told Miss Lassiter that was not correct because first grade was still in the lunchroom. So basically, if first grade is still in the lunchroom, it can't be 11:25. And the fact that she even told me that she had already told the day before, that's the time that she gave her. Also, something I didn't put in there. When I told her that I used my phone for the timer, she said, okay, so you use your phone to text, so you use your watch for the timer. And I said, I don't wear a watch. I said, I use my phone for the timer. It's set for 10 minutes. The kids know it. Yeah. They'll hear the little timer going off and say, yes, okay, now y'all can whisper.
A lot of people use their phones for watching.
Well, exactly. I used to have a smart watch, and then it kept falling off, and I was like, okay, phone, it's just easy.
Yeah. And I understand. I use mine for, I have a watch to tell time, but I use my phone
for many other things. Yes, sir.
So, anyway.
I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, before I physically walked in here, I had to throw up. Like, my nerves have been, I'm not kidding. And I'm not sick, but I think it's just my nerves. Yeah. Like I said, hours away from my family, from my students.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to be intimidated. I'm just trying to find, because Miss Johnson, we talked in between. And like I said, until last year, I could not tell you if she worked here or not.
Oh, the next concern I brought up was regarding Miss Vanity with when she verbally assaulted in the 3rd grade hallway on the day of our faculty meeting. I informed both Miss Cohen and Miss Lassiter that I was in the hallway, standing right beside that day. I heard Bill call Miss Jack A and the B. I told Miss Lassiter and Miss Cohen, the sad part is that there were, other people in the hallway. I also told them that screaming at Miss Furthermore, I told Miss Lassiter and Miss Cohen that I find to be unstable and an irrational person. But let me go back to what I told you, that I was standing next. And Miss Lassiter says, "Oh, so you heard it?" And I said, "Yes, I was standing there. This isn't hearsay. I was standing right next to because I was actually in Miss talking with her prior to all of this even happening." But Miss Lassiter kept trying to, I guess she kept trying to make it seem like it was just hearsay for me, when I was telling her I was standing in the hallway. This isn't just something that I just overheard. But I told him, I said that she's unstable and an irrational person. I recall times in the past would get mad when she felt someone had done her wrong. Would exclaim that she was giving them a strike, and she has literally walked in the hallway and said, "Oh, well, such and such did whatever. You're getting a strike." And I was like, "What, a strike?"
Regarding other adults?
Regarding other teachers in our hallway.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Once, several years ago, Miss everyone an email and named different times that she felt that she had been, slighted. She said, the email was very nasty. Phil would send the nasty emails during this time when she was mad.
Do you have a copy of that email?
I can get it.
Okay. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's fine. Then right after, would pretend as though nothing had ever happened. No apologies, no remorse, just nothing. Even if we have, when we have grade level meetings, she's just in there nothing's happened. I don't feel bad about anything that I've said, but it's almost like, I feel like you've done me wrong. I'm going to get these emails out. Y'all are going to hear what I have to say, and then she's a different person the next day. Has behaved unprofessionally towards co-workers on and off for a long time. There have been quite a few times since left the campus without notifying administration, and we are left to take care of her students. When I told Miss Lassiter that, she said, "Well, before she leaves, does she come by and, drop her kids off to you?" I said, "No." I said, "She's gone. And then when we get word of that she's left, then we have to, take care of that from that point." And she said, "So you never speak, you've never spoken to her about her, leaving her kids?" I said, "No. Once we find out that she's gone, no one's seen her, she's gone."
The next day, would she give you a reason?
No.
So she stays gone the whole day?
Whatever time she leaves, she's gone. That's, if it's 9:30. Matter of fact, I kept one of her kids, and I actually taught his sister 2 years ago. So when I saw him, I was like, "What are you doing?" He said, "I was told to come to your room." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, they're kids, so you can't say, "Well, what are you doing here?" You can't ask them too many questions because they may not even know. I told Miss Lassiter and Miss Cohen, that she had left, and I told them that I don't understand why Phil doesn't come, and do what she's supposed to do. Miss Lassiter and Miss Cohen asked me if the conflict of Miss Phil could be resolved. I told them no. This is too far gone. I don't feel like Miss Phil is mentally stable. The reason why I say that, we can go back to first grade. She would even tell us, "I've been strapped down to a bed before. I punched my teacher in the face when I was younger." In my mind, I think, why would someone want to brag about that? Why would you want anyone to know that? I told them this is too far gone. I don't feel like she's mentally stable, to be honest. It's a problem. And that's what I was telling them. When you say, okay, like I said, we have groups like lunch duty, recess duty. And I was telling them, it's a problem when no one wants to have duty with her. Everybody's like, well, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Because if there wasn't so much conflict or so much animosity, everyone could just, you wouldn't mind working with the next person. So I was telling them, when everyone's saying, I don't want to have duty with her, or the first words out their mouth, I don't want to have duty with her, or she's not going to show up, or is she going to be late? In your mind, you're trying to figure out how are we going to get everyone together and do what they need to do if she doesn't show up. So then really we're just, taking her load. Everyone has already experienced her showing up when she wants for duty or not showing up at all. Meeting with Miss Lassiter and Miss Cohen, I just felt like I was being intimidated because everything that I said, it was like, well, she told me this. Well, then I say something else. Well, is that something you heard or is that something that somebody told? leaving that meeting, I just felt like, why did I even go in there to speak? Because I just felt so intimidated. I didn't have anyone there as a representative, to feel like, I have a sense of, peace leaving. I didn't. I did. I asked for a representative, and she said, no, I need you one-on-one. Finally, I told Ms. Lassiter and Ms. Cohen, when walking into work, we should have a peace of mind. However, this is not the case walking into Building A. It's a hostile environment, because there's no telling when she might snap. Because it's almost like I told you before, there's no apologies, there's no remorse, and then, it was like the day after we met with Rhonda and Cohen, she saw me walking door, and she's like, hey, and I was like, she's talking to me? Like, it blew me away because she never speaks, she'll stay in her room. It's always like, I love my job. I love teaching the kids, I love being here, I love our principal. It's just the fact about coming here and doing what you're supposed to do, and you shouldn't have to feel like, it's so much animosity. I mean, like I said, physically before I walked into this meeting, I had to throw up, but it's because of all of the nerves.
Well, I hope that this meeting is different. I mean, I hope.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't feel like I'm being interrogated. No. It's not an interrogation for me because you're hearing what I'm telling you. You're not questioning. Yes, you may have taken notes and stuff, but you didn't say, well, she told me this and she told me that, because that's my other question. Why is it that she got the upper hand, for her to say, okay, well, I'm going to meet with her today, and then now I'm going to meet with everybody else whenever. And then with us meeting with them, I was thinking that we were supposed to get like some type of feedback. Yeah. We haven't received.
Well, I'll take the blame for that, but
okay.
We've been over, fall break, and that's took a week, and I've been looking over the notes and all.
Okay. He had a tantrum, maybe you call it, in the hallway. This was a couple of years ago, because she felt like someone wasn't giving her credit for something, and I was in the middle of teaching, and another teacher heard her, and she's yelling and screaming and saying, I'm always being left out, and I don't get credit, and my kids work hard in here. I mean, just like yelling. And I was actually about to head to the restroom, and I saw her yelling and screaming, but I didn't know what was going on, but not actually like physically put her hands on someone. That day in the hallway, I felt like she may have, tried to hit. I'm not even going to, joke with you with that. I really felt like, because first it was like she's talking, then she's getting louder, then she's getting louder, and then her hands are going, and I was like, in my mind, I'm glad that I was standing there, because had something, had escalated, I could say, hey, okay, we need to, part ways. But just to see, it's almost like when she starts to yell and she's getting upset, or she's wanting everyone to hear, her eyes will bulge out and she's like this. But then the minute she noticed that administrators were coming through the door, all of that changed. Like, it was like instantly, almost, she turned it off. That day, I actually thought she was going to hit me.
Okay.
Do you feel she's safe? Her kids are safe?
I don't. Just because I know that she's on a medicine. I don't know what medicine she's on, but sometimes she'll come here, like when she's walking through the halls, and it looks like her eyes are rolling in the back of her head, like I saw in first grade. That's what I see sometimes when I see her walking down the hallway. Or earlier, even when we had our meetings and stuff like that, she's just kind of sitting there, and she's got like this, I don't know, it's almost like the medicine is messing with her head. I'm not sure. But it's almost like if we say something, she's like, huh, what'd you say? Like, she's not processing it. So no, honestly, I don't. And even that day that happened I don't even know what day that was, when her blood pressure or something was going on. But see, her kids were in there at the time. You see what I'm saying? So no, I don't. I know that you said this is your first time hearing of it.
Some of this.
And some of it. And then, from last year, what transpired last year.
Yes, ma'am. I reckon, I suppose, around Christmas is when I started hearing,
And so, see, that's the thing. I mean, yes, she had an issue, with that other teacher, but we had to hear about it almost every day. She's in the hallway making copies, and she's ranting and raving about this. We're at lunch, she's venting, she's talking, she's just, a lot of things that were said during that time was just like, mainly if you have a problem with that source, you take it to that source. Instead of her just talking about those people, and it's just not professional. And like I said, I love working here. I absolutely love working here, but it's so much stress because I'm here for my kids. I'm here to do my job, and I don't want to feel like coming in here that someone that's on the same hallway with you can't even trust them. Like, you don't even know what they might try to do. I mean, you just don't know. And the fact that, in my opinion, it boils down to just meanness. Because, I can think back, like that time that I told you that she got upset with me because I was telling her kids what they need to do in the lunchroom. Well, we're all on the same hallway. I'm trying to help you out. Thank you. I'm trying to help you out as a coworker, and then you say, "Well, you're trying to get me in trouble." Every time someone tries to help her or say something towards her or something, it's always like an attack, like, "Oh, you're trying to get me in trouble," or things like that. It shouldn't. I mean, when you come to work, you shouldn't have to feel like someone's gonna feel like you're attacking them. I'm not a type of person for attack or confrontation or anything like that. I could have easily said something when having that dispute, but I didn't say anything. I was just sitting there because, like I said, I didn't know if something was going to transpire from that. But I know Miss Dunning only got in like 3 words, and it was just kind of like, "Hey, can you turn it down a notch?" But then that's when it escalated. And I've seen shows where someone to come into work and come into work and come into work, and then one day something just happens, and I don't know if she's just mentally unstable, but to me, if you can lash out on somebody one day and then the next day you act like nothing even happened, what is that? I don't get it. I mean, and to me, it's not safe because I love being here, but it's not safe to feel like you're coming in that building and you don't know if she's going to say anything or if she's going to react or if she's just going to play it cool until the day she decides, okay, this is what I plan to do. And it's just not safe. And like you asked if her kids are safe, absolutely not, because then they're in there with her. What if she decides, while the kids are in there and whatever she's thinking in her mind, that she's just going to snap? They may get the blunt of it. So.
Okay. Listen, thank you. Like I said, I'll be back if you'll get me some.
I'm going to look for those emails and I'm going to get you a copy of this.
Yes, ma'am. That's the lady to put it in the folder.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, sir.
You go get you some more than you need to take a break. Tell them out there I said cover your class, whoever they've got to get. Okay? Just tell them. I don't want you going where other children see you crying, okay? Because they don't, that'll upset us. I don't want that. You hear me?
Go take and don't.